Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we are jumping right into a complete explainer of Princess and the Hustler, going through a full scene by scene summary. We're going to break down this incredible narrative where intense personal family drama dramatically collides with a massive historical moment, which is, of course, the 1963 Bristol bus boycott. We get to watch how the pressures of the outside world slowly seep into one family's home, ultimately forcing them to confront who they really are and what they stand for. It's a gripping story, and I am so excited to guide you through it. So, let's get started. We'll follow a chronological structure across 5 parts today. The hustler returns, secrets and sibling rivalry, the bus boycott escalates, a family at breaking point, and we'll wrap up with pageantry and progress. Okay, let's dive into this timeline to anchor ourselves. The entire play spans 9 really volatile months in 1963. We kick off in January with Wendell's sudden return. The pressure builds through the spring, and by June, protest violence literally walks through the front door. July fractures friendships, August pushes the family to the absolute brink, and then September finally offers a magical resolution. The sheer speed of this unraveling is absolutely crucial to keep in mind as we follow these characters. Part 1. The Hustler Returns. Let's look at this immediate disruption. The play wastes literally zero time. In Act 1, Scene 3, a persistent knock at the door prompts Mavis to open it to Wendell, famously known as the Hustler James. Within just 10 minutes of stage time, the situation completely devolves. Wendell enters the flat, Mavis holds up a cautionary hand, and when he moves closer, she actually pulls a knife from the kitchen. She threatens to cut his throat if he doesn't leave. But here is the massive twist. As Mavis jerks the door open, waving this knife around, she is met with Wendell holding the hand of a young girl just slightly younger than her own daughter, Princess. Wendell introduces this girl as Lorna. It is a brilliant, totally chaotic opening that immediately establishes incredibly high stakes. Part 2. Secrets and Sibling Rivalry. The sudden introduction of Lorna creates an immediate shockwave for the kids in the house. This beautifully and honestly tragically illustrates the collateral damage of adult secrets. While the adults are out there arguing, Act 1, Scene 4 shows us what's happening back in the bedroom. Princess, who is only 10 years old, is absolutely terrified. She thinks Mavis hates her and is going to send her away. She's crying, vowing she won't let anyone take her mother. And her older brother, Junior, tries to play the protector, comforting her, giving her a lollipop. But Junior is really struggling to explain the situation to his little sister because, frankly, he's navigating this deeply confusing adult drama himself. The tension peaks just half an hour later in Scene 5, during what has to be one of the most awkward dinner scenes imaginable. First, Lorna shocks everyone by asking for dessert first and just flopping casually onto the sofa. Then drops the absolute bombshell. Mavis reveals to the room that Wendell is actually Lorna's father too. Wendell kind of assumes Mavis will let him stay, but Mavis coldly tells him he can fetch Lorna in a few days or she's handing her right over to the Salvation Army. When Wendell questions her cruelty, an outraged Mavis slaps him across the face, declaring that the woman he sees now is a product of the man who left her alone with 2 small children. The explosive atmosphere is only temporarily diffused when Mavis's friend Margot unexpectedly arrives, having returned early from a fight. Part 3. The bus boycott escalates. This is where the historical context of 1963 Bristol violently crashes into the family dynamic. To fully grasp this external pressure, we really have to look at the color bar, the discriminatory practices against Black people in employment and society at large. In Act 1, Scene 7, Junior explicitly brings this up when arguing with Wendell. Junior deeply respects men like his friend Leon's father, who are actively out there protesting the color bar, and he actually laughs at the idea of Wendell getting involved himself. This deep ideological clash over how to navigate systemic racism totally sets the stage for the rest of the narrative. Moving through May and June, the political situation becomes violently personal. Junior announces to the family that students are going to march in support of the bus boycott, which immediately creates a divide, as Margot calls it a bad idea. But the harsh reality of the streets hits home in Scene 3. Junior enters bleeding and hurt, having been attacked by a mob on his way home from the protest march. Furious and obviously terrified at seeing his son injured, Wendell storms out. The boycott ends up dividing even the absolute closest of friends. In Act 2, Scene 4, when Mavis and Margot meet, Margot blames Wendell and others for causing trouble. She prefers to keep her head down, maintain the status quo, and she reminds Mavis of how badly they were treated when they first arrived in England. But Mavis fiercely defends Wendell. She points to the Caribbean, asking Margot who she thinks runs the schools and hospitals over there. It's a profound moment of structural pride. Mavis is simply no longer willing to just be quiet and endure. Part 4, A Family at Breaking Point. This is where those pressures boil over at the climax of Act 2. This scene from August 1963 is just gut-wrenching. Junior is cleaning his camera when Wendell returns. Junior questions why Wendell can't commit to the boycott and get a real job. And then, Junior takes matters into his own hands. He pulls out a bag of his own saved money, hands it to his father, and tells him to leave and find a place for him and Lorna. Wendell is totally stunned that his own son wants him gone so badly. During this entire devastating exchange, Princess is lying on the sofa with her eyes closed. The moment Wendell leaves, Princess takes a pair of tailor scissors, walks into her cupboard, which, by the way, has been her safe, imaginative sanctuary throughout the entire play, and she physically destroys her cupboard world. It really forces us to ask, what happens when the pressure inside the flat matches the pressure out on the streets? For Princess, the destruction of her inner world perfectly and tragically mirrors the chaotic, shifting world outside. Well, the fallout is immediate. Over just 4 days in August, a rapid succession of crises hits the family. Princess goes completely missing, causing Mavis immense distress. While Mavis searches frantically, Junior finally confesses that he paid Wendell his savings to leave. Thankfully, Princess is eventually found hiding at Margot's flat, her hair cut short and uneven. But just as she is returned home, Wendell staggers back in after a 2-day absence. Junior immediately accuses his father of theft, assuming he took the money and simply refused to leave. At this exact moment, the family appears entirely, irreparably fractured. Part 5. Pageantry and Progress. The final scenes bring us a surprising dual victory. Because here is the incredible twist. Wendell tells Junior he actually returned the money to his room. He didn't steal it at all. In fact, he reveals he has been out organizing with the boycott people, and they feel hopeful they might actually win this thing. In a moment of pure redemption, Wendell pulls out a ring and proposes to Mavis. And just as the family is getting dressed up in celebration, the radio announces the official lifting of the color bar. The political victory and the personal reconciliation happen almost simultaneously. Which brings us to the absolutely beautiful finale in September 1963. Princess is waiting outside Junior's bedroom in a swimsuit. Wendell emerges, fully committing to Princess's beauty pageant fantasy. I mean, he is wearing makeup, a skirt, a shawl, and a turban. Princess tells Wendell he needs to crown her. And when he does, the room literally explodes into a world of magic and pageantry. The script notes fireworks, flags, and people joyfully jumping into a swimming pool. I just have to share this powerful final imagery straight from the script. Princess imagines a pageant where all the beauty queens look like her. Black women of all shapes, sizes, and nations parade before her and assemble around Princess. Princess stands in the middle and takes a bow. It is a profoundly moving image of ultimate self-acceptance and empowerment. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. How does Princess's final pageant reflect the true victory of the Bristol bus boycott? It's not just about policy, right? It's about a young girl finally seeing a world where she is celebrated, where she belongs, and where she is crowned the winner. Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me today. I really hope this breakdown illuminated the deep, vital connections between personal identity and historical progress. See you next time.